Welcome to Like Mother, Like Murder. I am Rachel.
And I'm Heather.
We bring you the good,
The badass,
and the crime.
This is Like Mother, Like Murder.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Like Mother, Like Murder, your favorite true crime momcast. I am Rachel.
And I am Heather, and each week we bring you mom-related true crime from missing moms to murdered moms, moms who murder, survivors, and more.
And every once in a while, we also bring you guys much-needed updates because that's really what we should be bringing even more, because that's what we look forward to, that's what we need, that's what we hope for when we talk about the unsolved or the missing, is the updates, because we want to know the answers, we want to find the people. And in this one specifically, we want to know the answers and we want to find the person. And those answers, I think, are slowly coming out. And if they're not coming out, at least we will have finally, after years and years and years, sentencing, convictions, things happening right now. And that is in the Crystal Rogers case. This case, it happened out of Bardstown, Kentucky years ago. It's been over 10 years now. And they are finally in the court. They just had court for Steve Lawson, but we are going to be bringing an update episode today. So it will have like a compilation of our case coverage on Crystal Rogers' case. It will have all of the updates that we have brought throughout it's been over years. That was
one of the first cases you covered.
Yeah, it was like 26 or something, you guys. Yeah. So it's funny when our episodes are so different, because when I look at it on like social media, it says that we've only had like 150 something, right?
Yeah.
But when we look, we've had over 200. I think it's like 223 episodes, but that's because we bring a lot of bonuses or other stuff randomly. But I think hers was 26.
Yeah, that was one of the, I just remember that being like, oh my gosh, because it was so close to where you were, and I just remember because then you were like really in on a lot of the local coverage that you were seeing, and not only was it Crystal, but also her dad. And then the other people around Bardstown, that was all just a bunch of layers to this case. And so I will be very interested to revisit that and see all of the updates that are going to be happening with trial.
Yeah, definitely. So this week we will have that going on, and then stay tuned. On Thursday, we will also have a mini missing moment segment drop as well. All right, here is the Crystal Rogers case. Okay, hi everyone, it's Rachel here, and I am so sorry to say that I am completely unsatisfied with the quality of the audio from our Crystal Rogers case. I cannot, for the life of me, play that for you guys here right now. And so what I am going to do, the first update episode that we did when something happened in the Crystal Rogers case, I gave a pretty lengthy kind of recap. And I am going to play that entire thing for you guys rather than playing the poor quality of that episode. I would also like to apologize for that. It is humiliating, honestly, listening back to that. We started from a place of not knowing what we were doing, and I do believe we have came so far. I need to go back and work on those episodes because it is truly unacceptable, but that is still an option if you guys do want to go listen to it. The episode itself is fine. The audio is not. So that will be in the show note if you guys do want to go listen to that, but the recap that I give in the first update episode is a good one. So I'm going to put that right here for you guys and then get into those update clips before I bring the final update of the reason we're sitting here talking about Crystal Rogers' case today. Welcome to Like Mother, Like Murder. Hello, everyone. If you are a subscribed listener, you are probably wondering why you have an episode dropping on a Saturday, and it is because we have things that we need to talk about. First of all, it's just me today because Heather and I feel that this cannot wait, and it should not wait. We covered a case last year about a mother who went missing from Bardstown, Kentucky back in 2015. Her name was Crystal Rogers. Recently, there have been arrests, and it is something I wanted to come and fill you all in on about all of the details. October 5th, yesterday, in Bardstown, Kentucky, the arraignment court case for Brooks Houck in relation to his arrest of murdering Crystal Rogers took place. This has been such a huge thing for Crystal's family to finally be getting some of the answers that they have been longing for so many years now. For anyone who is unfamiliar with the name Brooks Houck, go back and listen to episode 30 of our podcast to get all of the information. But long story short, Crystal went missing back in July of 2015 after spending the 4th of July weekend with her boyfriend Brooks Houck. Crystal was a daughter, a sister, and a mother to her 5 children. Crystal went missing under suspicious circumstances, and people have been searching for answers ever since. Crystal's parents, Sherry and Tom Ballard, worked endlessly trying to find Crystal and bring her home. Their baby girl is what they were fighting for, and answers and justice is what they were determined to get. The Ballards started putting together search parties in hopes to find their daughter. Friends, family, community members, and people near and far would come to help and search for Crystal Rogers. The lead of these searches and the one who was getting closer and closer to finding answers each and every day was Crystal's father, Tommy. In November of 2016, Tommy Ballard was shot and killed while he was out getting ready to start a hunting trip with his 12-year-old grandson on their family's property near the Bluegrass Highway. He was shot in the chest and died instantly. This entire case is one that is so heavy on my heart for so many reasons, and I just feel for this family. So the fact that arrests are being made and we are getting closer to answers and closer to being able to have people pay for the consequences of their actions is such a big deal. Recently, there have been huge breaks in this case. There has constantly been movement of searches and investigators working towards answers, but here's a few things we wanted to share with you all today. First, Joseph Lawson was arrested September 7th in connection with the murder of Crystal Rogers. He was charged on conspiracy to commit murder and complicity to tampering with physical evidence in the case. When this arrest happened, my first thought was, yes. The second thought I had was, that's not the name I was expecting. And my third thought was, it's only a matter of time for more arrests to be made. It is highly believed that there is a connection of some sort between Brooks Houck and Joseph Lawson. When Crystal Rogers was reported missing and detectives started their investigations, they questioned Brooks Houck. During this questioning, one of the things brought up is a phone call that he had received in the middle of the night that Crystal went missing. This phone call was from a man named Steve Lawson. When Brooks was asked about the phone call during the interrogation, he explains that Steve Lawson works for him, but he didn't remember what the phone call was about that night, so Brooks proceeds to pick up the phone and call Steve in the interrogation room. Brooks asked Steve what he had called about, where he then reminded him that he was calling with some questions about a rental property for Crystal, and Brooks told Steve that he would have to call her to ask her, and then he would get back to him. The investigator in the interrogation room in this conversation says to Brooks, and I quote, "So that begs the question in my mind. If she's in the truck next to you when he called, why would you need to call her?" It's been shady from the beginning, my friends. With all of this said, Stephen Lawson does in fact have a son named Joseph Lawson. It has not been 100% confirmed that those two are indeed one and the same, but I don't see how it could be any different. So yes, Joseph Lawson was arrested on September 7th and is currently still being investigated for this crime. A couple weeks later was the moment many had been waiting for. Brooks Houck was arrested September 27th and charged with the murder of Crystal Rogers as well as tampering with evidence. Yesterday, Thursday, October 5th of 2023, Brooks had his first court appearance for his arraignment where he video called into the court. It was a very packed courthouse from legal personnel to Crystal's family, Brooks Houck's family, investigators, journalists, media, the community, and more. One of the things that was a known conversation that would be had in the courthouse is that of Brooks' bond. He was being held at $10 million bond, and the defense made a statement saying they want that reduced from $10 million to $500,000, stating that the bond itself was unreasonable and oppressive. In the beginning of the day, it starts with the obvious of Brooks Houck pleading not guilty on all counts. Next, they discussed the dates for the pretrial and decided that that will begin in February of 2024. And then the bombs start dropping. Like I said, first thing, of course, is the defense trying to lower the bond. The defense attorney calls this case a low-risk case and says that he has never seen a bond so high in all of his years. The prosecutor explains that this is the first time he has ever asked for a bond this high, and it is because he has never gone against a multimillionaire before. Brooks has property, his company, and more assets that exceed $10 million, and that is where the decision came from. I'm going to read this directly from the source, and again, all of this information is sourced in the show notes, so please go and do some research yourselves, but Houck's co-defendant, Joseph Lawson, is being held on $500,000 bond because his only possession is a truck. Young said Lawson was found naked with no possessions when arrested. $500,000 is $10 million to Joseph Lawson. The next crazy thing that took place in the courthouse this day is that Brooks Houck's family was accused of recording the grand jury proceedings. Prosecutor Young said that his family secretly brought in recorders and recorded the grand jury. I'm not the most knowledgeable person when it comes to all of this. I spend hours and hours trying to learn more as I do research every case we cover. But this blew my mind because that is something you just do not do. The last thing I will be telling you all just about made me lose my damn mind. Yesterday in the court, they bring up that they are currently investigating the death and murder of Tommy Ballard, Crystal's father. They believe they are in possession of the firearm that was used to shoot Tommy Ballard, killing him back in 2016. This gun belonged to Nick Houck, Brooks' brother, and it is currently being tested. Not only moves being made to finally bring justice for Crystal Rogers, but also making moves in the murder of her father, Tommy Ballard, as well. You guys, I know many of you have been invested in this case, and that's why we wanted to bring as much as we could to keep you guys in the loop of what is going on. As of now, we wait until February to hear more when it comes to Brooks Houck and his court dates. I am thinking that there may be more arrests made sooner than later, honestly, so keep your eyes and ears peeled. And also just be sure to subscribe here to Like Mother, Like Murder so that on top of the weekly episodes, if more updates happen and things start, happening in these cases, you will be the first to receive them when they drop. So, Crystal's family, friends, and community have never given up and keep fighting for answers. Recently, there have been a lot of movement, and with each and every move, hopefully it brings us closer and closer to finally finding justice for Crystal and bringing answers to her 5 children, her family, and all that loved her.
we do have one update that was released in October because 2 major arrests were made. So first was Joseph Lawson, a name that sounded familiar when the arrest was made, but it wasn't the exact name we had heard or mentioned before. Joseph Lawson was arrested on connection to the disappearance and possible murder of Crystal Rogers. He had a possible connection to Brooks Houck as well, which leads us to that second arrest. The arrest was in fact Brooks Houck himself, which was Crystal's boyfriend. The time that she went missing and was last known, he was the last known person to have seen or known to be with her. If you have been following this case, you have just been waiting for him to be arrested. Trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I was just in the fact that it took this long, which we will get into, but he too was arrested in connection with her disappearance and possible murder and has been a person of interest since 2015. He has appeared in court and he asked the judge for a bond reduction because his bond was actually set to $10 million. The judge ended up denying the request because...
Yeah, he did.
Yes, he sure did. To say it as simply as I can, Brooks has money, okay? He has plenty of money, and they 100% think that he is a flight risk. So there's no reason to be reducing this bond. So I'm really glad the judge stuck to that. His next court appearance is set for February 8th of 2024. And you bet your ass I will be following along to every detail of that hearing. Now that you are as up to date as I can get you, just days ago, as in 5 days from when I am recording this, there has been another break in the case. Another dig was underway in Nelson County, right towards the outskirts of Bardstown. Okay, so if you've been following this case, Shay McAllister, she's amazing, right? She is the reporter for that local news, the WHAS 11 News, and she's been covering the Crystal Rogers case since 2015, when things first started happening. She is also the host of the Bardstown podcast. She tells us in her coverage that they wouldn't release who the dig was in relation to, other than it was in relation to one of the Bardstown murders, which obviously it would either be Rogers, Ellis, or Ballard. Well, December 8th, just days after the dig, a third arrest was made in the connection to Crystal Rogers, okay? Stephen Lawson was arrested and charged with conspiracy to commit murder and tampering with physical evidence, which is the same thing that Joseph Lawson was arrested and charged with. And if you're following along, Stephen Lawson and Joseph Lawson have the same last name. Look, I don't want to have to spell it out for you, but sometimes people need a little bit of help. I am willing to help connect those dots in this situation. Heather, your jaw is dropped. You'll see. So, although we don't remember the name Joseph Lawson, we do remember the name Stephen Lawson because Brooks Houck made a late night phone call to Stephen Lawson the night that Crystal went missing. And when Brooks is being asked about his call in one of the interrogation interviews, some of what he says makes no sense to me. Here is part of that interview right here.
Just call it. Oh, Steve Lawson. Okay. Who is Steve Lawson? He's somebody that works for me. Hey, Steve. Yeah. Hey, I can't hear you real good. I'm gonna let you speak up a little bit, okay? Okay, sir. Hey, I was wanting to know. Hey, I've got some things going on next week. I'm gonna need your help with it. Are you already booked up, or can you help me? I haven't moved up yet. I'm still looking for a place. That's why I needed them numbers from you. All right. Well, I can write them all down and get them there for you. But I was actually talking about doing some more work with your little skid steer and so forth. Mine's still broke down. Well, like I said, get with me tomorrow. I'm coming. I know you're having a hard time hearing me because it's where I'm located at. All right. So just get in touch with me tomorrow. We'll see what we can do. But I just want to tell you I'm sorry about everything that's going on in your life, brother. And I got you on prayers. I Yes, it is a very difficult and trying time, but I appreciate you you saying that. But hey, I need your help while I got you on the phone here. Do you remember the other night you called me really, really late, and I forgot what you asked me. Can you? I guess we wasn't on the phone. I might have been tired. I know it was pretty late at night. Can you remember what you asked me or what you were after? I can't remember.
Yes, sir, I can. I called to ask you for them numbers for our house.
Oh, for a rental house.
Yes, sir, I
And
did.
what did I forgot? What did I tell you?
You told me that you would call, what's her name, Katie or whatever, she handles all that.
Crystal.
Crystal, okay, I apologize.
Yeah.
And she said she handles all that, and that you would get back with me on it.
All right. Thank you so much. Now.
Hey, if there's anything I can do, you give me a call.
Thank you. You have a good night now.
Yes, sir, God bless you.
Thank you.
Okay. So that begs a question in my mind.
All right.
If she's in the truck next to you when he called, why would you need to call her about getting numbers for rental?
Because being that late at night, we're headed to the house. You know, I just wouldn't. She was not going to deal with stuff that late. And I mean, I didn't even look at the phone to see who it was calling me. I'm sure I just answered it. You know.
But he said you told him that you need to call her.
All right.
Why would you need to call her? I mean, that's an odd phrase for someone who's sitting next to you in the truck. Do you understand? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see exactly what you're saying. I mean, that's what if that right there is what I told him, that right there is what I told him. We wasn't on the phone that long, but normally I would just, she handles all that, and that's what I would do. She's not going to want to mess with that kind of stuff that late. I'm sure I'll probably try to answer the phone really quickly, so that it wouldn't, a lot of times after I get moving, Eli goes to sleep, you know. Sometimes he goes to sleep in the truck, and sometimes he doesn't. So, if you want to call him, you got his number and everything. If you want to call him, you know, you can call him.
Okay, so he calls Steven to ask him if he remembers why he called him on that night. And then he mentions that he would have to get back to him after he calls Crystal. But again, just like the, you know, in the interrogation room, why would he have to call him back if Crystal was sitting right next to him?
Right.
Look,
right.
The detective doing the interview already was calling him out on his bullshit. And that was so early in the investigation. The fact that this has taken nearly 8 years and there are finally some moves and arrests being made, I hope that all of the answers are coming soon. That's all for now. Court dates will be happening beginning of next year, and we will be sure to update you all with anything else that happens. Hopefully 2024 finally brings the answers and closure to years of pain and questions that this family has been enduring since 2015. Okay, now listen. As soon as I was done recording this, another update came in and I could not leave it out. Again, coming from the WHAS 11 News, the headline reads, "Attorney claims Joseph Lawson drove Crystal Rogers' car to the Bluegrass Parkway and his father, Steve Lawson, picked him up from there." Okay, so again, Crystal went missing July 3rd of 2015. It was 2 days later, July 5th of 2015, that her car was found abandoned on the side of the road. And what we know from the headline is Joseph Lawson was driving it, got a flat tire, and then his dad, Steven, came and picked him up. Steven Lawson's attorney comes forward saying that Steven had nothing to do with her disappearance or death, but has been providing the police with information in exchange for his immunity. He says that Steven Lawson said this: "I did not hurt Crystal and was not involved in hurting Crystal. I didn't plan to hurt Crystal. I didn't conspire to hurt Crystal." That's what Steven Lawson's attorney, Theodore Levitt, said that Steven said. His attorney also suggests the idea or thought that the phone call that I just played for you guys a minute ago in this episode from Brooks to Steven was a setup phone call. I need you guys to let me know what you think about that. More and more keeps coming up, and although it kills me to read these things or hear them, each and every update makes me so anxious that the day is coming that Crystal Rogers' children, Sherry Ballard, her mother, and everyone else that is seeking answers will hopefully be getting them soon. Stephen Lawson will be in court December 21st for his arraignment. Joseph Lawson will be in court on January 5th, and Brooks Houck on February 8th. I am actually going to be doing an update on a mother of 5 as well, because most of my updates come in regards to the Crystal Rogers disappearance. You guys know how invested I am in this case. If you don't, it means you don't know me and you don't know anything I talk about on this. So if you're new here, welcome, and go back and listen to everything Crystal Rogers. They actually are going to be having court tomorrow. So Thursday morning, June 13th, they're having court with Steve Lawson. And there's 2 things that will be coming out of this. The first is Thursday, apparently Steve Lawson is trying to get his case just dismissed, which is comical to me, okay? And second is that Brooks Houck wants his case to be tried separately from the Lawsons, which currently they were in the works to be doing the entire trials with all 3 of them together.
Like co-defendants?
Correct. And Houck's attorney is working to get them separated. Because they say that the Lawsons have fabricated their entire story and blah, blah, blah. No one cares what he has to say. So for me, it's hard because the fact that we have waited this long for things to start happening in Crystal Rogers' case is crazy to me. At the same time, I keep telling myself, at least it's finally happening, because that's what's most important, right? So getting this shit bag to be held accountable for his actions.
For sure.
As well as hopefully finding out more answers and ultimately finding Crystal Rogers. Because just like Jennifer Dulos, her body has not been found. She has not been located. Her family is working every single just anything that I see where her mom is out there fighting and her family, and the whole story is as twisted as it can be, you guys. Yeah. But that's the number one thing that we need as of right now is Crystal and them to finally. And there, to me, again, I will say there will be more arrests made. I don't know how other arrests have not been made yet, in my opinion. But with these 3 that are on trial, I mean, things just keep getting pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. So I'm just waiting for that to actually follow through with and make some things happen and get some people locked up that deserve to be locked up.
Well, we will see what happens tomorrow in court.
Yes, we will.
Okay, so first things first, that court case that was discussed in that update episode, I must have talked about during a regular episode because I could not find the update clip for you guys. So instead, I'm just going to talk about it. The June 13th court date had to do with Stephen Lawson, and this was whether or not the judge would dismiss the case against Stephen Lawson. And this absolutely did not happen. The reason behind it, though, was actually, let me start with the reason this even came up in the first place, was because Lawson was actually given the wherewithal that they would offer him immunity if he would cooperate fully with their investigation, which that did not happen because they found Lawson to be telling lies. Therefore, this deal was taken off the table. Then another thing that happened last year, September 4th, 2024, the FBI searched a new home in Bardstown that had connections or has connections with the Houck family. The reason behind this was that the house had been sold by Brooks's brother, Nick Houck, in 2018, just a few years after Crystal's disappearance. And then the next thing that happened last year, on October 7th of last year, they agreed to have the trial take place out of Bardstown, which makes perfect sense for a case of this profile, that's for sure. And then the final thing that happened last year was that the judge approved to have a separate trial for Stephen Lawson. He wanted his own court trial, which he was granted. And then Joseph Lawson and Brooks Houck will be co-defendants in their trial. Okay, and finally, for a very, very, very important update, Steve Lawson was found guilty of conspiracy to commit murder and tampering with physical evidence. Just this week, a Warren County jury deliberated for 2 hours before reaching their verdict, but their verdict was guilty. That is exactly what we needed. This is the start. Hopefully, we have some more trials that are about to take place, and hopefully with these guilty verdicts, these trials, yes, we want guilty verdicts, but ultimately we want to know where Crystal Rogers is. So Steve Lawson was found guilty of conspiracy to commit murder and tampering with physical evidence. This happened in Bowling Green, Kentucky. A Warren County jury deliberated for 2 hours before reaching their verdict, and they have recommended a 17-year sentence. That sentencing is scheduled for August 6th of this year. So some of the things that I want to talk about within the trial, Lawson took the stand and he testified that Brooks Houck wanted Rogers gone. That he claimed that Lawson, he referred Houck to another man who also testified that Lawson passed on Houck's request. Cell phone data, this was pivotal in this case. It showed that Steve Lawson, he was not home the night that Rogers vanished, contradicting his original statement, right? He said that he was home. He sure wasn't, based on his phone pinging, and this had pinged near a property on Thompson Hill Road, and that ping on his phone was perfect because it showed that he wasn't at the house, because we know what he was doing. He was out moving the car. And we also have that information based on the forensic testimony, highlighted deleted calls from Lawson's phone, and it was a 13-second call with Brooks Houck the night that Crystal Rogers disappeared, and this was Steve Lawson telling Brooks that he moved Crystal's car. And we know that in that interrogation interview, he says that it was about rental properties and needing numbers. That was not the case. The defense, they claimed that Steve Lawson was only going to this area. He only went to the Bluegrass Parkway in the first place to pick up his son, Joseph Lawson, who is also going to be in trial with Brooks very soon. But that he had went to go pick him up and that he adjusted the driver's seat of the vehicle, but Lawson said that he lied to protect his son. Now, we are eagerly awaiting June 24th. That is the date that Brooks Houck and Joseph Lawson will be going to their trial. And one of the things that actually happened this year, March 26th, it was announced that some hairs that had been collected nearly a decade ago as evidence in Crystal's case will be tested as part of Brooks's trial. So they are gathering everything they need to for this, and I cannot wait to see what happens in this trial. I am hoping for Crystal's family, for all who loved her, all involved, everyone who has been fighting for the past 10 years, that there will be resolution after this court case. You guys, think about this case, talk about this case, share this case with every person. Get Crystal Rogers' name out there as much as possible. We need to be talking about her. We need to be sharing her information, and we need to see more guilty verdicts coming in very, very soon. All right, talk to you next week. Bye.
Do you love true crime and travel? Having traveled the world solo the last couple of years and being obsessed with true crime, I found myself researching others who took the same vacations but never made it home. The Last Trip is a true crime podcast covering missing and murdered people that were living their best lives on vacation. I'm your host, Jamie Beebe, and each week I'll bring you on The Last Trip, taking a deep dive into vacation culture and travel spots, tips on staying alive while traveling, and ultimately recreating someone's last days in paradise. What led to their last trip? What are the hard facts? What is the final outcome? And could you be next? David Snedden was a 24-year-old college student from Utah attending Mandarin classes in Beijing when he mysteriously disappeared while hiking Tiger Leaping Gorge. Chinese authorities said he drowned in the gorge, and U.S. authorities agreed, although his body was never found and his parents didn't believe that. 7 years later, out of the blue, they got a phone call from a former U.S. official who had evidence David is still alive. This case sounds like a Hollywood movie, but evidence doesn't lie. So where is David Snedden? Famous rugby player and Celebrity X Factor contestant Levi Davis went missing in Barcelona last year while on a backpacking trip through Europe. Just days before he vanished, he posted a 15-minute video to his Instagram account saying his life was in danger and people were after him. After he disappeared, several theories emerged. But what really happened to Levi Davis? Join me, Jamie Beebe, co-host of the popular true crime series Strictly Stalking, as I embark on a brand new adventure combining true crime and travel. Listen to The Last Trip wherever you get your podcasts.